Most people drift through their days like leaves in the wind, moved by every distraction, every emotion, every trivial demand. But if you want to live like an emperor, you must learn to command your mind before you command the world. You were not born to be scattered, distracted, or ruled by impulse. You were born to hold your ground like a mountain, still deliberate, unmoved by chaos. Discipline is not about punishment, it's about power. Focus is not about tunnel vision, it's about clarity. If your attention is fractured, your life will be too. But if you master your focus, you master your fate. Today I'll show you how to practice daily discipline with the focus of an emperor, calm, clear, and unshakable. Subscribe to our channel if you're ready to master your mind. And tell us, where are you watching from? Chapter 1. Begin with the end in mind. Listen carefully, for what I'm about to share with you isn't merely advice. It's the accumulated wisdom of emperors, distilled through centuries of leadership and self-mastery. When I ruled Rome, I understood a fundamental truth that most will never grasp. Every action, every decision, every moment of focus must be governed by a clear vision of your final destination. Most people live like sailors without a compass, drifting wherever the winds of circumstance blow them. They wake each morning without direction, respond to whatever demands arise, and wonder why they make no progress toward greatness. This is the path of the common man, and you were not born for mediocrity. To practice true discipline, you must first understand this: the end shapes all beginnings. Before you can master your days, you must master your vision. What are you building? What empire rises in your mind's eye? Don't speak to me of small ambitions, of mere wealth or fleeting fame. These are the pursuits of smaller men. I speak of legacy, of contribution, of work that will echo through the centuries. Here's what most don't understand about discipline. It's not about punishment or restriction. It's about alignment. Every emperor knows that true power flows from perfect alignment between thought and action, between present sacrifice and future glory. Without this alignment, discipline becomes mere torture, a meaningless ritual of denial. But let me ask you this: when you close your eyes and look forward to the end of your life, what do you see? What stories will they tell of you? What foundations will you have built? What lives will you have touched? This is not idle daydreaming. This is strategic visualization, a practice as old as empire itself. The undisciplined mind flinches from these questions. It prefers the comfortable fog of uncertainty, the warm blanket of maybe someday. But clarity is ruthless. Clarity demands answers, and discipline without clarity is like a sword without a target. All power, no purpose. You must write your ending first, not in vague terms, but with the precision of an architect drawing plans for a temple. What skills will you have mastered? What wisdom will you have gained? What problems will you have solved? Be specific, be bold. Be unreasonable in your ambitions. I'll tell you something I observed in my years of rule. The size of your vision determines the power of your discipline. Small goals breed weak commitments. But when you aim to build something eternal, something that will outlive you by centuries, suddenly every moment becomes precious. Every hour holds the weight of legacy. Most people will tell you to be realistic, to lower your sights, to accept the common lot. These people are not your allies. They are the voices of mediocrity, seeking company in their surrender. An emperor's focus requires an emperor's ambition. Your discipline must be fueled by something greater than temporary comfort or fleeting pleasure. It must be anchored in service to your highest self, to your people, to the greater good of humanity. This is what separates mere strictness from true discipline. One is about control, the other is about contribution. Start today. Take out your scroll, your journal, and write your ending. Make it magnificent. Make it worthy of the potential sleeping within you. Be ruthless in its clarity. What impact will you have had? What mountains will you have moved? What darkness will you have illuminated? Then, and only then, can you begin to practice daily discipline with true purpose. Because now every action either moves you toward that vision or away from it. Every choice becomes clear. Every distraction reveals itself for what it is, a thief of destiny. Remember, you are not here to live a small life. You are not here to merely survive each day. You are here to build something magnificent, something that will stand as a testament to human potential long after you've departed. Begin with the end in mind, and let that end be glorious. Let it be worthy of the divine spark within you. Let it be something that would make the gods themselves pause and take notice. This is where true discipline begins, not with a list of rules or a set of restrictions, but with a vision so compelling. That discipline becomes not a burden, but a natural expression of your highest purpose. Now, tell me, what empire are you building? Chapter 2. The Emperor's Morning. Let me share with you a truth I learned not in the marble halls of Rome, but in the cold hours before dawn, when an emperor must rise to meet his destiny. The morning is not merely the beginning of a day. It is the forge where discipline is hammered into strength, where intention becomes reality, where emperors are made or broken. Here's what most people don't understand about morning discipline. It begins the night before. When I led Rome, I knew that each dawn demanded clear minds and strong spirits. The common man stumbles into his morning, victim to whatever chaos the night has left him. But you must approach the dawn like a general preparing for battle. Your evening routine is your first act of morning discipline. When the sun sets, your mind must already be reaching toward tomorrow's sunrise. Clear your quarters, your space, of disorder. Lay out your implements, your clothes, your tools of conquest. Write tomorrow's battles, your priorities, before today's sun has set. This is not mere preparation. This is the first strike in tomorrow's victory. But let me ask you this. What is the first thought that enters your mind when you wake? For most, it is resistance, complaint, negotiation with the day's demands. This is the mind of a slave, not an emperor. Your first thought must be one of gratitude, not the weak gratitude of the comfortable, but the warrior's gratitude for another day to build, to serve, to conquer oneself. The emperor's morning has 5 non-negotiable pillars. Miss one, and you weaken the entire structure of your day. First, rise before the demands of the world arise. In my time, I would wake before my generals, before my advisors, before even the temple priests. This silence, this solitude, is your first victory. When you master the ability to rise when all others sleep, you develop a power that few will ever know, the power to shape time itself. Second, strengthen the vessel, your body. Too many neglect this, thinking that mental discipline alone builds emperors. They are wrong. Your physical form is the foundation of all other disciplines. Move with purpose. Breathe with power. Let your blood flow strong before the day's demands begin. I practiced with my sword at dawn. You might lift weights, run, or train in combat arts. The method matters less than the intention. Third, clear the mind through meditation. This is not some soft practice of peaceful contemplation. This is warriors. Meditation, sharp, focused, intentional. Sit with your thoughts like a general reviewing his troops. What fears lurk in the shadows of your mind? What desires threaten to derail your purpose? Face them in the quiet dark. Master them before they master you. Fourth, study your craft. Whether you lead armies or businesses, heal bodies or build structures, your morning must include time to sharpen your expertise. I studied philosophy and strategy in these early hours. The mind is clearest at dawn. Use this clarity to grow stronger, wiser, more formidable. Fifth, review your battle plan, your priorities. Most begin their days in reaction, responding to whatever demands, scream loudest. This is the path of the slave. An emperor moves with intention, with strategy, with purpose. Your priorities must be set, your targets clear, your path determined before the chaos of the day begins. Here's what sets apart the emperor's morning. It's not about productivity. It's about sovereignty. Each of these practices builds not just discipline but dominion, first over yourself, then over your circumstances. The morning is where you claim your power, where you forge your will into an unshakable force. Many will read these words and think them too demanding. They'll say, "But I need more sleep," or "My circumstances don't allow for such structure." Listen carefully. These are the whispers of mediocrity. Every person who has ever built anything of worth has faced these same challenges. The difference is not in their circumstances, but in their choices. Start small if you must, but start strong. Choose one element of the emperor's morning and master it completely. Then add another. Build your morning empire piece by piece, but build it with a whole absolute conviction. Your morning ritual is not a gentle suggestion. It is a sacred command, a non-negotiable commitment to your own greatness. Remember, how you begin your day is how you begin your life. Each morning is a microcosm of your larger journey. Approach it with the gravity it deserves. The discipline you forge in these quiet hours will echo through every challenge you face, every battle you fight, every victory you claim. Now tell me, how will you begin your tomorrow? Chapter 3. Focus is a weapon. In my years commanding Rome's legions, I learned that the sharpest sword is useless in untrained hands. Yet even a modest blade, wielded with perfect focus, can change the course of history. Your mind, your focus, is the most potent weapon you possess. But like any weapon, its power lies not in its mere possession, but in how skillfully you wield it. Here's what most people don't understand about focus. They treat it like a resource that comes and goes, like the tide. They wait for it, chase it, complain when it eludes them. But true focus, emperor's focus, is not a resource to be found. It is a weapon to be forged, sharpened, and mastered. Let me ask you this. How many thoughts have scattered through your mind since you began listening to these words? How many times has your attention darted away, like a startled deer? This mental wandering is not natural. It is a weakness, trained into you by a world that profits from your distraction. The first principle of weaponizing focus is this: attention must be commanded, not requested. When a general addresses his troops, he does not plead for their attention. He commands it. You must approach your mind with the same authority. Your thoughts are not suggestions to be considered. They are troops to be commanded. Most attempt to force focus through mere willpower. This is like trying to cut down a tree with a blunt blade. Possible, but foolish. Instead, you must learn the art of strategic focus. Here are the 4 elements of focus as a weapon. First, clarity of target. A scattered mind tries to focus on many things. A powerful mind focuses on one thing totally. When you sit down to work, to create, to strategize, what exactly is your target? Not the vague idea, but the precise objective. A general doesn't say, attack the enemy. He names the hill to be taken, the position to be held, the line to be broken. Your focus must be equally precise. Second, removal of distractions. This is not merely about silencing your devices or finding a quiet space. This is about creating a fortress for your mind. In battle, we clear the field of anything that might obstruct our soldiers' advance. You must do the same with your environment. Every potential distraction you leave in place is a weapon you hand to your enemies: resistance, procrastination, mediocrity. Third, duration, training. Focus is like a sword arm. It must be strengthened through progressive training. Begin with short periods of absolute concentration. 15 minutes of complete unwavering focus is worth more than 3 hours of scattered attention. Gradually extend these periods, but never compromise on the quality of your concentration. Fourth, recovery ritual. Even the finest blade must be maintained between battles. Your focus requires the same care. Learn to recognize the difference between genuine mental fatigue and mere resistance. When you rest, rest with purpose. When you sharpen your mind, do it with full attention. These intervals between focused periods are not breaks from discipline. They are part of it. But here's what separates mere focus from focus as a weapon: its deliberate application toward strategic objectives. The common man might focus intensely on trivial matters, games, gossip, fleeting pleasures. This is like using a sword to cut bread. Focus becomes a weapon when it is directed toward objectives worthy of its power. You must audit your focus like a general inspecting his armory. Where are you directing this weapon? What victories could you achieve if you redirected it from meaningless skirmishes toward true battles? Every moment of focus spent on trivia is a moment stolen from greatness. The most dangerous person in any room is not the loudest or the strongest, but the one who has mastered their focus. They see what others miss. They persist when others falter. They cut through confusion with the clarity of their attention. This mastery begins with a simple truth. Your focus will be tested constantly. The world is designed to scatter your attention, to weaken your resolve, to pull you into 1,000 different directions. This is not an obstacle to be avoided. It is the very battlefield where your mastery will be forged. Start today. Choose one important task, one worthy target for this. Weapon, clear your field of battle, set your duration. Then focus with the totality of your being, as if your life depended on this single point of concentration. Because in a way, it does. Your life becomes what you focus on. Your mind becomes what you train it to be. Remember, focus is not just about getting things done. It's about becoming someone capable of doing great things. It's about forging your mind into a weapon so powerful that obstacles fall before you even engage them. Now, tell me, what target will you set for your blade? Chapter 4. Mastering Inner Dialogue. Listen carefully to the voice within your mind, that constant commentary, that endless stream of judgment, fear, and speculation. It is either the architect of your empire or the agent of your destruction. I spent many nights in my tent, writing to myself, wrestling with this inner voice, learning to shape it from a chaotic rabble into a wise counsel. Here's what most people don't understand about inner dialogue. It's not just thinking. It's the foundation of your reality. Every achievement, every failure, every moment of courage or cowardice begins here, in the privacy of your own thoughts. The words you speak to yourself carry more weight than any external command or counsel. But let me ask you this. If you were to record every thought that crossed your mind today, would they read like the thoughts of an emperor or the complaints of a slave? Would they reveal the strategic mind of a leader or the reactive fears of someone led by circumstance? Most people leave their inner dialogue to chance, letting it run wild like an untamed horse. They wonder why they can't maintain discipline, why their focus falters, why their resolve weakens, never realizing that they've allowed their most powerful tool to become their greatest liability. The mastery of inner dialogue rests on 4 fundamental pillars. First, recognition. You must become aware of your thoughts as they arise. Most are lost in their thinking, like a dreamer who doesn't know they're dreaming. True power begins when you can step back and observe your thoughts without being consumed by them. Watch them as a general watches troop movements from a hilltop, with detachment, with clarity, with strategic awareness. Second, classification. Not all thoughts deserve equal attention. Learn to categorize them. Which ones serve your empire? Which ones sabotage your goals? Which ones are mere distractions? And which ones carry the seeds of wisdom? A thought that begins, "I can't," or "I'm not ready," is not your ally. It's an infiltrator, a spy working for mediocrity. Third, command. This is where most fail. They recognize their thoughts, they may even classify them, but they stop short of taking command. You must learn to speak to yourself with authority. Not with the harsh voice of a critic, but with the clear, commanding voice of a leader who knows the way. When fear speaks, wisdom must answer. When doubt whispers, conviction must reply. Fourth, cultivation. The ultimate goal is not to silence the mind, it's to cultivate an inner dialogue worthy of an emperor. This means deliberately planting thoughts of power, purpose, and possibility. It means rehearsing scenarios of victory, not disaster. It means asking better questions, not what could go wrong, but how can I make this succeed? Here's what separates mere positive thinking from true mastery of inner dialogue. It's not about suppressing negative thoughts or forcing artificial optimism. It's about developing an inner council of wisdom. Just as I kept counsel with the great philosophers and strategists of Rome, you must populate your mind with thoughts that challenge you, guide you, strengthen you. The quality of your inner dialogue determines the quality of your life. When you face challenges, your inner voice either rallies your courage or magnifies your fears. When opportunities arise, it either spurs you to action or holds you in doubt. This is why the mastery of inner dialogue is not optional for those who seek greatness. It is the very foundation of all other disciplines. Start by auditing your mental patterns. What phrases do you repeat to yourself? What stories do you tell about your capabilities, your worth, your future? These are not mere thoughts. They are prophecies you're speaking into existence. An emperor cannot harbor thoughts of weakness and expect to rule with strength. Challenge every thought that does not serve your empire. When your inner voice says, "This is too difficult," reply with, "This is how I grow stronger." When it whispers, "You might fail," answer with, "Every attempt builds my power." This is not denial, it's strategic reframing, a skill as vital as wielding a sword or commanding an army. Your mind must become your strongest ally, your most trusted advisor, your most loyal supporter. This requires constant vigilance. Just as a general cannot allow dissent to spread through his ranks, you cannot allow destructive thoughts to proliferate in your mind. Each morning, renew your commitment to mental discipline. Each night, review the dialogue of your day. Remember, the greatest battles you will ever fight take place in the silent arena of your own mind. Every external challenge you face is first won or lost in your internal dialogue. Master this, and you master everything. Fail at this, and no external success will ever be enough. The thoughts you allow to take root today become the reality you live tomorrow. An emperor's thoughts create an emperor's life. A slave's thoughts create a slave's life. The choice, and it is always a choice, is yours. Now tell me, what thoughts will you command today? Chapter 5. Dominate the first hour. In the governance of empire, I learned that the first hour of battle often determines its outcome. The same holds true for each day of your life. This first hour, this sacred time between rising and engaging with the world, is where emperors are forged and destinies are shaped. Most squander this hour. They let it slip through their fingers like sand, never grasping its true power. Here's what most people don't understand about the first hour. It's not just about starting your day, it's about setting the conditions for victory in war. The general who seizes the high ground at dawn controls the entire battlefield. Your first hour is your high ground. Take it with absolute authority, and the rest of your day must follow suit. But let me ask you this: how do you enter your first hour? Do you stumble into it, groggy and resistant? Do you immediately surrender it to the demands of others, their messages, their urgencies, their priorities? This is the behavior of one who is ruled, not one who rules. The domination of the first. Our rests on 5 imperial commands that must be executed with precision. First command: arise with authority. The moment consciousness returns, assert your power. No negotiation with the bed, no bargaining with time. Your feet must touch the floor with the same decisiveness with which a general mounts his horse. This first victory, this immediate assertions of will over comfort, sets the tone for all that follows. Second command: guard the gates. In these first moments, your mind is like a fortress at dawn, most vulnerable to invasion, yet most capable of being fortified. No technology, no information from the outside world, no voices but your own. Guard these gates with absolute vigilance. The world will demand your attention soon enough. Make it wait. Third command: ignite the body. Your physical form must be awakened with purpose. I chose cold water and basic exercises. You might choose running, training, or any movement that sends a clear message. This body serves a higher purpose than comfort. The method matters less than the message. You are in command, not your desires. 4Es. Fourth command, feed the mind. Before the world can feed you its priorities, feed your mind what it needs to stay strong. Read what strengthens you. Write what clarifies you. Meditate on what centers you. This is not luxury. It is armor for the battles ahead. A mind fed only the world's diet of urgency and distraction becomes weak, reactive, easily conquered. 5th, command. Set the terms of engagement. Before you engage with the day's demands, set your own terms. Review your objectives. Strengthen your boundaries. Clarify your non-negotiables. Most begin their days in response mode, letting the first demand set their direction. This is the path of the ruled, not the ruler. Here's what separates true domination of the first hour from mere morning routine. It's not about completing tasks, it's about establishing command. Each action in this hour must reinforce one crystal. Clear message. You are the emperor of your day, not its servant. The power of this first hour comes not from what you do, but from how you do it. Each action must be executed with full presence, full intention, full authority. A single push-up done with imperial focus is worth more than an hour of distracted exercise. A single minute of true meditation outweighs 30 minutes of scattered thinking. This is where most fail. They try to pack too much into this hour, turning it into a frantic race against time. Remember, an emperor moves with deliberate power, not desperate speed. Better to do 3 things with absolute command than 10 things with scattered attention. Your first hour must become sacred, as untouchable as a temple, as protected as a fortress. This means preparing for it the night before, your imperial clothes laid out, your tools ready, your space cleared. Nothing must be left to chance, nothing left to morning decision. When resistance appears, and it will appear, meet it with the full force of your imperial will. The voice that says just 5 more minutes is not your ally. The urge to check your phone is not your friend. These are rebels testing your resolve, measuring your worthiness to command. The world tests every boundary. It probes for weakness, for hesitation, for gaps in your armor. Your first hour is where you prove to yourself and to the world that your boundaries are made of iron, not wire, that your will is forged in steel, not wax. Remember, how you command your first hour echoes through every hour that follows. A day that begins in strength tends toward strength. A day that begins in weakness tends toward weakness. There is no neutral ground here. You either command this hour or it commands you. Start today. Not with grand plans or complex routines, but with one unshakable commitment. This first hour belongs to you. Guard it, shape it, rule it. Let nothing and no one take it from you. For in this hour, you build not just your day, but your life, your legacy, your empire. Now tell me, how? Will you seize your next first hour? Chapter 6. Cut what weakens you. When I commanded Rome's legions, I learned that victory often depends not on what you add to your arsenal, but what you remove from your enemy's reach. The same principle applies to the empire of your life. Your power grows not only through what you cultivate, but through what you deliberately, ruthlessly cut away. Here's what most people don't understand about elimination. They focus endless energy on adding new habits, new tools, new strategies, while leaving intact the very things that drain their power. They try to build strength upon weakness, discipline upon distraction. This is like trying to fill a vessel riddled with holes. No amount of pouring will ever keep it full. But let me ask you this. What if your greatest obstacle to power isn't what you lack, but what you refuse to release? What if your inability to focus, to maintain discipline, to command your day stems not from insufficient strength, but from too many weaknesses left unchallenged? The art of strategic elimination. rests on 4 imperial principles. First principle, audit everything. An emperor must know every detail of his empire, its strengths and its vulnerabilities. You must do the same with your life. Examine every habit, every relationship, every activity that fills your days. What strengthens you? What weakens you? What moves you toward your goals? What pulls you from your path? Be brutally honest. Self-deception is a luxury emperors cannot afford. Second principle, identify the hidden drains. The most dangerous weaknesses are often disguised as necessities or pleasures. That social media habit you call networking, that toxic relationship you call loyalty, that perpetual busyness you call productivity. These are the assassins that wear friendly faces, the poisons served in golden cups. Third principle, cut clean and deep. When you identify something that weakens you, do not negotiate with it. Do not try to moderate it. Cut it out completely. Decisively, like a surgeon removing a tumor, half measures breed half results. The weak attempt to gradually reduce their weaknesses. The strong eliminate them entirely. Fourth principle, replace with strength. Nature abhors a vacuum. When you cut something from your life, something else will fill that space. Be intentional about what you allow to take its place. Cut mindless scrolling, replace it with reading. Cut toxic relationships, replace them with solitude or meaningful connections. Cut scattered activity, replace it with focused work. Here's what separates true strategic elimination from mere decluttering. It's not about creating empty space, it's about creating power. Every cut should make you stronger. Every elimination should sharpen your focus, heighten your energy, strengthen your resolve. Start with your environment. Look around you now. What objects drain your attention? What items trigger weak behaviors? An emperor's quarters should contain only what serves his purpose. Everything else is not neutral. It is an active impediment to your power. Move to your schedule. Examine every commitment, every regular activity. Which of these truly serve your empire? Which ones do you maintain out of habit, fear, or misplaced obligation? Time is your most precious resource. Every moment spent on weakness is a moment stolen from strength. Then, assess your relationships. This requires the greatest courage, but promises the greatest rewards. Who strengthens you? Who weakens you? Who pushes you toward greatness? Who pulls you toward mediocrity? An emperor cannot afford to keep company with those who diminish his power. Your daily habits must face the same scrutiny. That morning news habit, does it inform your decisions or merely cloud your mind with chaos? That late-night entertainment, does it refresh you or merely rob you of sleep? That constant availability to others, does it serve your mission or merely fragment your focus? The digital realm demands special attention. Your devices can be tools of empire or instruments of enslavement. Each notification is a small tax on your attention. Each app is either a weapon in your arsenal or a crack in your armor. Be merciless in your curation. Remember, every weakness you tolerate becomes a tax on your strength. Every distraction you permit becomes a drain on your focus. Every toxic relationship you maintain becomes a leak in your power. These are not small matters. They are the difference between ruling your life and being ruled by it. Most will resist this teaching. They'll say, "But these things bring me pleasure," or "These connections are valuable." Listen carefully. Pleasure that weakens you is poison in disguise. Connections that drain you are chains decorated as jewelry. Your life's empire is built twice. First through what you build, then through what you eliminate. The second building is often more important than the first. A foundation cleared of weakness can support unlimited strength. A mind freed from distraction can generate unlimited power. Start today. Choose one thing, one habit, one commitment, one relationship that weakens you. Don't justify it. Don't negotiate with it. Cut it out completely. Feel the immediate surge of power that comes from decisive action. Let this be the first of many such cuts, each one bringing you closer to pure, undiluted strength. Now tell me, What will you cut first? Chapter 7. Control the reaction. In my years ruling Rome, I learned that the difference between a great emperor and a poor one often lies not in what challenges they face, but in how they face them. Any fool can react, can let their emotions surge and spill like wine from an overturned cup. But to respond, to master that crucial space between stimulus and action, this is the mark of true imperial power. Here's what most people don't understand about emotional mastery. They think it means feeling nothing, becoming some sort of human stone. Nothing could be further from truth. An emperor feels everything, but chooses what to do with those feelings. The weak are prisoners of their emotions. The strong are their masters. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you truly chose your response, rather than simply riding the wave of your reaction? When did you last stand firm in that crucial moment between trigger and action, examining your emotions like a general surveying his troops? The mastery of reaction rests on 4 imperial disciplines. First discipline, recognition speed. You must learn to recognize the onset of reaction before it takes hold. Anger doesn't begin with the shout. It begins with the subtle tensing of muscles, the slight quickening of breath. Fear doesn't start with retreat. It starts with the first flutter of uncertainty. The faster you recognize these signals, the more power you have to choose your response. Second discipline, the imperial pause. This is your most powerful weapon against reactive behavior. When emotions surge, when challenges arise, when provocations present themselves, pause. Not a weak pause of indecision, but a powerful pause of choice. In that moment, you transform from a slave of circumstance to a master of response. Third discipline, strategic question. In that pause, ask yourself, does this reaction serve my empire? Not, is this reaction justified? Many justified reactions have destroyed empires. Not, do I feel like doing this? Feelings are advisors, not commanders. The only question that matters is whether your chosen response moves you toward mastery or toward weakness. Fourth discipline, controlled response. Once you've chosen your response, execute it with full imperial authority. A controlled response carries more power than any reactive outburst. When others are shouting, your measured words land like thunderbolts. When others are rushing, your deliberate pace becomes an unmovable force. Here's what separates true emotional mastery from mere suppression. It's not about denying emotions, it's about directing them. Think of emotions as horses pulling your chariot. The weak let the horses choose the direction. The strong use the reins of wisdom to guide that power where they choose. Most people live at the mercy of their emotional weather, sunny one moment, stormy the next. They wonder why they can't maintain discipline, why their focus wavers, why their resolve crumbles. They never realize that by accepting reactive behavior, they've surrendered the very power that could transform their life. Start with small provocations. When someone cuts across your path, when a plan falls apart, when an expectation is thwarted, these are not mere annoyances. They are opportunities to practice mastery. Each small victory over reactive behavior builds the strength for larger battles. Your body must become your first alert system. Learn its signals. That tightness in your chest before anger. That hollow feeling before fear. That restless energy before impulsive action. These physical signals are your early warning system, your chance to choose response over reaction. The digital age has created new battlegrounds for this practice. Each notification, each message, each piece of news is designed to trigger reaction. Most people live in a constant state of reactive behavior, bouncing from one emotional trigger to another like leaves in a storm. You must rise above this chaos. Remember, every reaction is a decision, even if made unconsciously. Every emotional response is a choice, even if made in ignorance. By becoming conscious of these choices, you reclaim your power to make them wisely. Thea. True purpose of controlling reaction is not to become cold or unfeeling. It is to become powerful and purposeful. When you do choose to show anger, let it be a strategic choice that serves your goals. When you do choose to show enthusiasm, let it be a deliberate expression that inspires others. When you do choose to show compassion, let it be a conscious decision that builds connection. Most will resist this teaching. They'll say, "But I want to be authentic," or "I need to express myself." Listen carefully. True authenticity comes not from unleashing every emotion, but from choosing which emotions serve your highest purpose. True self-expression comes not from reactive behavior, but from conscious choice. Your emotional mastery must become absolute, as reliable as gravity, as consistent as the sunrise. This doesn't mean you never feel strongly. It means you never let those feelings hijack your purpose. It means you maintain your imperial perspective even when emotions run high. Start today. In your next challenging moment, and it will come, practice the imperial pause. Feel the emotion arise, but don't let it choose your action. Stand in that space between stimulus and response. Let the weak reaction pass through you, then choose your response with the clarity of an emperor. Now, tell me, what will you do with your next emotional surge? Chapter 8. Learn to love repetition. In governing Rome, I observed that the strength of our empire lay not in our moments of brilliant innovation, but in the relentless repetition of what worked. The aqueducts that fed our cities weren't built in bursts of inspiration. They were built stone by stone, day after day, by men who understood the power of persistent action. This is the secret that most seek to avoid. Greatness lives in the mundane. Here's what most people don't understand about repetition. They see it as punishment, as the enemy of creativity, as the opposite of freedom. They chase novelty, thinking that variety will lead to victory. But look at nature itself. Every planet in its orbit, every heart in its beating, every tide in its flowing, the universe runs on repetition. But let me ask you this: what daily actions are you willing to repeat until they become your very nature? What disciplines are you ready to practice, not just until they work, but until they become who you are? The mastery of repetition rests on 4 imperial truths. First truth: repetition reveals character. Anyone can do something once. Anyone can be disciplined for a day, focused for an hour, committed for a moment. But what you do repeatedly, this is who you are. Your daily routines are not just habits. They are statements of identity. They are votes cast for the person you will become. Second truth: monotony is the path to mastery. The greatest sword master in Rome didn't learn 1,000 different techniques. He practiced the same basic strikes 10,000 times. The finest architects didn't design a different arch each day. They perfected one design through endless iteration. Embrace the monotony of mastery. It is your forge of greatness. Third truth: repetition creates reliability. In battle we trusted, not the soldier who could occasionally perform brilliantly, but the one who could execute consistently. Your repeated actions build a foundation that others can rely on, and more importantly, that you can rely on. When chaos strikes, when pressure mounts, you will default to your repetitions. Fourth truth: innovation emerges from routine. This seems paradoxical, but the deepest insights often come from the most regular practice. Just as a river's constant flow carves new paths through stone, your consistent practice reveals new possibilities within familiar patterns. True creativity doesn't require constant novelty. It requires deep understanding that only repetition can provide. Here's what separates true mastery of repetition from mere routine. It's not about mindless repetition. It's about mindful iteration. Each repetition should be approached with full attention, with the intention to discover something new within the familiar. This is how simple actions become sacred rituals. Most people resist this teaching because they fear boredom. They think that embracing repetition means embracing dullness. But consider the musician who practices scales, the warrior who drills basic movements, the philosopher who returns to fundamental questions. They find infinite depth in finite actions. Start with your morning routine. Don't try to make it exciting or different each day. Instead, strip it to its essential elements and commit to performing these elements with perfect attention every single day. The power lies not in what you do, but in the fact that you do it without fail. Your work must follow the same principle. Instead of constantly seeking new methods, perfect the fundamental ones. If you write at the same time each day. If you train with the same core movements. If you lead with the same core principles. Let your creativity express itself within these constraints. The digital age fights against this wisdom. It tempts you with endless variety, constant updates, perpetual novelty. Resist this. The most powerful technologies are the ones you use repeatedly, mastering their depths rather than chasing their updates. Remember, repetition is not the enemy of growth. It is its foundation. Every master in history, from artists to warriors, from philosophers to athletes, built their greatness on the bedrock of repeated action. They understood that the path to extraordinary achievement is paved with ordinary consistency. Your daily disciplines must become as natural as breathing, as regular as the sunrise. This doesn't happen through motivation or inspiration. It happens through repetition, through showing up when you don't feel like it, through doing what needs to be done, especially when it feels mundane. Most will resist this path. They'll say, "But I need variety," or "I'll get bored," or "I need to be spontaneous." Listen carefully. These are the voices of weakness, seeking. Escape from the demands of mastery. True power comes not from doing many things once, but from doing important things many times. Think of each repetition as a brick in your empire. One brick seems insignificant, but placed consistently, day after day, these bricks build palaces, fortresses, monuments that stand for centuries. Your repeated actions are building something. The only question is, what? Start today. Choose one. Fundamental action that serves your goals. Strip it down to its essence. Remove all unnecessary variation. Then commit to performing this action with full attention every single day until it becomes not just what you do, but who you are. Now, tell me, what action will you repeat until it becomes your nature? Chapter 9. The Power of Micro-Rituals. In commanding Rome's legions, I discovered that victory often hinged not on grand strategies alone, but on the smallest of disciplines. How a soldier maintained his blade, how he secured his armor, how he stood at attention. These micro-rituals, these tiny acts of deliberate excellence, formed the foundation of Rome's imperial might. The same principle governs your path to personal sovereignty. Here's what most people don't understand about micro-rituals. They seek transformation through dramatic changes, through sweeping revolutions in habit and character. But true power, lasting change, comes through tiny actions, perfectly executed, consistently maintained. The smallest ritual, performed with full intention, carries more power than the grandest plan left undone. But let me ask you this: what small actions do you perform with absolute precision? What tiny disciplines have you elevated to the level of ritual? Or do you, like most, reserve your attention only for what seems significant, letting excellence slip in the smallest moments? The mastery of micro-rituals rests on 4 imperial principles. First principle: sacred attention to small things. How you do anything is how you do everything. The way you make your bed, the way you hold your posture, the way you place your tools, these are not minor matters. They are the building blocks of your character. Treat each small action as if the fate of your empire depends upon its perfect execution. Second principle: ritual creates reality. Every time you perform an action with full intention, you reshape your identity. A micro-ritual is not just about the action itself. It's about who you become through its performance, the way you enter a room, the way you prepare your workspace, the way you begin each task. These moments are opportunities for transformation. Third principle, precision in small matters. The power of a micro-ritual lies not in its scope, but in its precision. When you sharpen a pencil with perfect attention, when you arrange your desk with exact care, when you stand or sit with deliberate posture, you are training your mind for excellence in all things. Precision in small matters builds precision in great ones. Fourth principle, accumulation of power. Each micro-ritual, properly executed, adds a grain of power to your character. Like drops of water filling a vessel, these small acts of excellence accumulate until they overflow into every aspect of your life. No single drop seems significant, but together they become an unstoppable force. Here's what separates true micro-rituals from mere habits: intention. A habit can be performed mindlessly. A ritual, no matter how small, demands your full presence. It's not about what you do, it's about how you do it. The simplest action, performed with complete attention, becomes a ceremony of power. Most people overlook these opportunities for excellence. They rush through small tasks, saving their attention for what they deem important. But consider, how can you be trusted with great things if you cannot be trusted with small ones? How can you command an empire if you cannot command your own attention in tiny matters? Start with the first moment of your day, the exact way you place your feet on the floor, the precise manner in which you make your bed, the deliberate way you pour your morning drink. These are not trivial matters. They are your first opportunities to practice sovereignty over your actions. Your workspace must become a temple of micro-rituals. The way you open your books or power up your devices, the manner in which you arrange your tools, the precision with which you prepare for each task. These small ceremonies create an environment of excellence that influences everything you do. Even your movements can become micro-rituals. How you stand from a chair, how you walk through a doorway, how you hold yourself during conversations. Each is an opportunity to practice presence and precision. Your body becomes both the performer and the beneficiary of these tiny ceremonies. Remember, every action, no matter how small, is either strengthening or weakening your character. There are no neutral moments. Each time you perform an action with carelessness, you practice being careless. Each time you execute a task with precision, you practice being precise. Your daily life must become a series of perfectly executed micro-rituals. This doesn't mean becoming rigid or obsessive. It means bringing full awareness and intention to each moment. It means treating the smallest tasks as opportunities for mastery. Most will resist this teaching. They'll say, "It's just a small thing," or "It doesn't matter," or "Why waste energy on trivial details?" Listen carefully. Nothing is trivial to the person pursuing mastery. Everything matters to the one seeking sovereignty over themselves. Think of each micro-ritual as a thread in the fabric of your character. One thread seems insignificant, but woven together day after day, these threads create a tapestry of unshakable excellence. Your character becomes not what you occasionally do, but what you consistently practice in the smallest moments. Start today. Choose one small action you perform regularly. Elevate it to a ritual. Bring your full attention to its execution. Perfect its every detail. Then, once mastered, choose another. Let each small ceremony of excellence build upon the last until your entire day becomes a masterpiece of intentional action. Now, tell me, what small action will you transform into a ritual of power? Chapter 10. Say no without apology. When I ruled Rome, I learned that an emperor's power lies not only in what he builds, but in what he refuses. Every yes is a commitment of resources. Every agreement, a division of focus. Every concession, a potential weakness. The ability to say no, firmly, clearly, without guilt or explanation, is not just a skill. It is a cornerstone of power. Here's what most people don't understand about refusal. They see it as negative, as the closing of a door, as the rejection of opportunity. But a powerful no is not a rejection of possibility. It is the protection of purpose. It is not the absence of action, but the presence of conviction. But let me ask you this: how many of your current commitments exist not because they serve your empire, but because you lack the courage to refuse them? How much of your energy is spent on projects you should have declined, relationships you should have ended, obligations you should have rejected? The mastery of refusal rests on 4 imperial principles. First principle, clarity of purpose. You cannot say no with power until you know what you're saying yes to. An emperor's refusal is not based on mood or preference, but on crystal clear purpose. When you know your mission, saying no becomes not just easier, but necessary. Your purpose becomes your filter, automatically rejecting what doesn't align with it. Second principle, economy of energy. Every yes consumes resources, time, energy, focus, opportunity. These resources are finite. When you say yes to what is merely good, you lose the capacity to say yes to what could be great. A powerful no is not about rejection. It's about conservation of power for what truly matters. Third principle, speed of decision. The weak waver, negotiate, and delay their no's until circumstance forces their hand. The strong recognize what must be refused and act decisively. Quick, clean refusal is both more powerful and more merciful than slow, uncertain acceptance. Fourth principle, freedom from explanation. An emperor does not need to justify his no's. The moment you begin explaining your refusal, you open it to negotiation. Your no must be a complete sentence, not no because, or no but simply powerfully, finally, no. Here's what separates true mastery of refusal from mere negativity. It's not about becoming closed or defensive. It's about becoming supremely selective. A powerful no creates space for a more powerful yes. It is not an end, but a beginning, most. People carry a heavy burden of unwanted commitments, accumulated through weak yeses, through fear of offense, through lack of clarity. They wonder why they can't focus, why they can't make progress toward their goals, why they feel constantly drained. They never realize that their inability to say no has turned their life into a series of obligations rather than a pursuit of mastery. Start with your time. Look at your calendar. Every appointment, every commitment, every regular meeting. Ask yourself, if this was proposed to me today, would I say yes? If the answer is no, why are you still carrying this commitment? Your time is not a democracy. It is an empire that you must rule with absolute authority. Your relationships must face the same scrutiny. Who drains your energy? Who scatters your focus? Who pulls you from your path? These are not merely questions of preference. They are questions of empire. Every relationship you maintain either strengthens or weakens your position. The digital age demands even stronger no's. Each notification, each request for attention, each demand for response, these are all seeking a yes from you. Most people live in a constant state of weak acceptance, their focus fractured by 1,000 small yeses. Your no must become a shield against this chaos. Remember, every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to everything else you could do with that time and energy. Every commitment you accept is not just an addition to your life, it is a subtraction from your potential. Your no's must become as solid as stone, as clear as crystal, as final as death. This doesn't mean becoming harsh or unkind. The clearest no can be delivered with grace, but it must be delivered with certainty. A weak no is worse than a reluctant yes. It prolongs uncertainty and wastes energy in negotiation. Most will resist this teaching. They'll say, "But I don't want to miss opportunities," or "I need to maintain relationships," or "I should be more open to possibilities." Listen carefully. Opportunities multiply for those who guard their focus. Relationships deepen for those who know their boundaries. Possibilities expand for those who maintain their power. Think of each no as a brick in the wall that protects your empire. Each refusal of the unnecessary is a strengthening of the essential. Each rejection of distraction is an investment in focus. Your no's define your empire as clearly as your yeses. Start today. Choose one commitment that drains you, one obligation that scatters your focus, one relationship that weakens your resolve. Say no, not tomorrow, not gradually, today. Let your no be clear, final, and unapologetic. Feel the immediate surge of power that comes from reclaiming your resources. Now tell me, what will you refuse today? Chapter 11. Guard your inputs in governing Rome. I learned that an empire's strength depends not only on its armies but on its borders, what it allows in and what it keeps out. Your mind is an empire more precious than Rome itself, yet most. Leave its borders unguarded, allowing any thought, any information, any influence to freely enter and take root. Here's what most people don't understand about mental inputs. They believe they can consume whatever information, entertainment, or influence comes their way and remain unchanged. But your mind, like a garden, grows what you plant in it, whether you plant deliberately or allow weeds to take root by neglect. But let me ask you this. If you were as careful with what you let into your mind as an emperor is with what he lets into his empire, how different would your thoughts be? How different would your life become? The mastery of input control rests on 4 imperial principles. First principle, active curation. An emperor doesn't passively receive what comes to him. He actively selects what deserves his attention. Your inputs must be chosen, not accepted. Every book, every conversation, every piece of information should pass through the gates of your deliberate choice. What serves your empire? What weakens it? Second principle, quality over quantity. The mind doesn't suffer from lack of information. It suffers from lack of wisdom. 10 pages read deeply serve you better than 100 skimmed. One profound conversation outweighs hours of shallow chatter. One timeless truth fully absorbed transforms more than 1,000 fleeting insights. Third principle, strategic timing. When you receive input is as important as what you receive. Your mind, like a fortress, has times of greater and lesser vulnerability. Guard especially the first hour of your day and the last hour before sleep. These are the times when inputs have the greatest power to shape your thoughts. Fourth principle, environmental control. Your physical space shapes your mental space. The objects you see, the sounds you hear, the environment you inhabit, these are not mere background. They are active inputs programming your consciousness. An emperor's quarters reflect and reinforce his power. Your space must do the same. Here's what separates true input control from mere isolation. It's not about blocking everything, it's about choosing deliberately. You don't build walls to keep everything out. You establish gates to let in what serves you and block what weakens you. Most people live in a state of constant mental invasion. Their attention is perpetually hijacked by notifications, their thoughts constantly interrupted by news alerts, their emotions continuously manipulated by social media. They wonder why they can't think clearly, why they can't maintain focus, why they can't find peace. They never realize they're living with their mental borders wide open. Start with your morning inputs. The first hour of your day is sacred ground. No news, no social media, no external voices until you've established your own mental sovereignty. What you let in first shapes everything that follows. Choose these inputs with imperial care. Your digital life requires especially strong guards. Each app is a potential infiltrator, each notification a possible breach in your mental defenses. Be ruthless in your curation. Unfollow what doesn't serve you. Unsubscribe from what doesn't strengthen you. Delete what fragments your attention. The fact is, people around you are perhaps your most powerful inputs. Their thoughts become your thoughts. Their energy affects your energy. Their level of consciousness influences yours. An emperor chooses his advisors carefully. You must be equally selective with your regular companions. Remember, your mind processes everything you expose it to, whether you intend it to or not. Every image, every conversation, every piece of information requires mental energy to process. This energy is finite. Spend it on inputs worthy of your attention. Your physical space must become a sanctuary of purposeful input. Remove what distracts. Eliminate what disturbs. Arrange what inspires. Let your environment become a constant. Reminder of your highest aspirations, not a collection of scattered influences. Most will resist this teaching. They'll say, "But I need to stay informed," or "I don't want to miss anything," or "I should be open to everything." Listen carefully. Being informed about everything means being powerful in nothing. The most successful people in history were not those who consumed the most information, but those who consumed the right information. Think of each input as a seed planted in the garden of your mind. Some seeds grow into mighty trees of wisdom. Others grow into weeds that choke out everything valuable. You are the gardener of your consciousness. Every input you allow is a seed you plant. Start today. Audit your inputs like an emperor, inspecting his borders. What are you reading? What are you watching? What are you listening to? Who are you spending time with? Be honest about what each input is growing in the garden of your mind. Then begin the great pruning, cutting away what doesn't. Serve your highest purpose. Now tell me, what inputs will you guard against first? Chapter 12. Your body is your first discipline. In commanding armies and ruling Rome, I learned that no matter how strong the mind, how noble the purpose, how pure the intention, all falls to ruin if the body fails. Your physical form is not separate from your ambitions. It is the very vessel through which all achievement must flow. Neglect it, and you neglect everything. Here's what most people don't understand about physical discipline. They see it as separate from mental and spiritual development, as if the body were merely a vehicle for carrying the mind. But your body is not a chariot carrying a superior being. It is an inseparable part of who you are, the foundation upon which all other disciplines must be built. But let me ask you this. How can you expect to command an empire when you cannot command your own flesh? How can you trust yourself with great responsibilities when you cannot trust yourself to maintain your own physical temple? The mastery of physical discipline rests on 4 imperial principles. First principle, the body as oracle. Your physical form speaks truth when all else lies. It reveals your actual disciplines, not your intended ones. It shows your real priorities, not your stated ones. When you stand before the mirror, you face a truth that no rhetoric can disguise. The body never lies about how you have treated it. Second principle, physical foundation, mental empire. Every mental state has a physical component. Every emotional challenge has a bodily expression. The strength of your focus, the depth of your courage, the steadiness of your purpose, all are influenced by your physical condition. A weak body creates limits that no amount of mental power can overcome. Third principle, movement as medicine. The body is designed for action. Stillness, when excessive, becomes poison. Yet most now live in near constant physical stagnation, moving less in a day than our ancestors did in an hour. This is not just unhealthy, it is unnatural, a violation of our most basic design. Movement is not optional, it is essential. Fourth principle, systematic progress. The body responds not to random effort, but to consistent challenge, not to occasional intensity, but to regular discipline. An emperor's physical training must be as structured as his military campaigns, as consistent as the sunrise, as non-negotiable as gravity. Here's what separates true physical discipline from mere exercise. It's not about appearance or performance alone. It's about creating an unshakable foundation for everything else you wish to achieve. Your body is either supporting your ambitions or limiting them. There is no neutral ground. Most people approach physical development backwards. They wait to feel energetic before they move, wait to feel strong before they train, wait to feel healthy before they change their habits. This is like waiting to feel wealthy before working, a formula for perpetual delay. Start with sleep. All physical discipline begins here. If you cannot command your sleeping habits, you cannot command anything else. Your body requires regular quality rest like an army requires regular quality supplies. No tactics can overcome sleep deprivations. Taxation on your capabilities. Your nutrition must become a matter of strategy, not impulse. What you eat is quite literally what you become. Every meal is either strengthening your position or weakening it. An emperor does not leave his army's supplies to chance. You cannot leave your body's fuel to convenience or craving. Movement must become as natural as breathing, not just formal exercise, but constant purposeful physical action. Stand instead of sit. Walk instead of stand. Train instead of watch. Your body is designed for motion. Honor that design. Every hour of stillness is an hour of decay. Remember, your physical presence communicates more than your words ever can. When you enter a room, your body speaks before you do. When you face a challenge, your physiology shapes your response before your mind engages. When you lead others, your physical energy affects them before your instructions do. Your training must become sacred time, as protected as any imperial ceremony, as regular as any religious ritual. This is not about vanity. This is about capacity. Every hour invested in physical discipline returns multiplied benefits in every other area of life. Most will resist this teaching. They'll say, "I don't have time," or "I'll start when things calm down," or "My work is mental, not physical." Listen carefully. These are the excuses of those who will never command anything greater than their own limitations. Time for physical. Discipline isn't found, it's claimed like territory in battle. Think of your body as your first kingdom. Before you can rule anything else, you must rule this. Before you can discipline any other realm, you must discipline your physical realm. Your body is the territory where all your other victories must be launched from. Start today, not with some grand transformation, but with one physical discipline firmly established, one non-negotiable movement practice, one unbreakable nutritional rule, one sacred period of rest. Build from this foundation like an emperor building an empire, systematically, relentlessly, with full awareness that everything else depends on this. Now tell me, what physical discipline will you make sacred? Today, Chapter 13, Stillness. Is the secret in the midst of commanding armies and governing Rome's vast territories, I discovered a paradoxical truth. True power flows not from constant action, but from cultivated stillness. While others rushed about, in perpetual motion, the greatest decisions, the deepest insights, the most profound strategies emerged from moments of absolute quiet. Here's what most people don't understand about stillness. They see it as empty space, as the absence of action, as time wasted. But true stillness is not passive. It is a state of heightened awareness, of concentrated power, of potential energy waiting to be directed with perfect precision. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you experienced complete stillness? Not the shallow quiet of sleep, not the enforced silence of solitude, but the deep, conscious stillness, where your mind becomes as clear as a mountain lake, reflecting truth without distortion. The mastery of stillness rests on 4 imperial principles. First, principle, stillness as strength. The weak are constantly in motion, constantly reacting, constantly speaking. The strong can remain still. Like a mountain unmoved by winds, true power manifests in the ability to maintain perfect stillness amidst chaos. This is not weakness. This is concentrated strength. Second principle, silence as strategy. In stillness, you hear what others miss. You see what others overlook. You understand what others merely react to. Strategic advantage belongs not to the loudest voice or the most constant action, but to the one who can be still enough to perceive reality clearly. Third principle, the power of pause. Between stimulus and response lies a space most never find. This space because they never cultivate stillness. But in this space, this moment of pure stillness, lies the seed of all wisdom, all strategic action, all true power. The longer you can maintain this pause, the more power you have over your responses. Fourth principle, stillness as reset. Your mind, like a pond, becomes clouded with constant activity. Stillness allows everything to settle. In these moments of perfect quiet, clarity returns, energy replenishes, wisdom emerges. This is not time wasted. This is power restored. Here's what separates true stillness from mere inaction. It's not about doing nothing. It's about finding the 0 point from which all meaningful action springs. Like an archer drawing back their bow, stillness is the gathering of power before its perfect release. Most people live in constant internal noise. Their minds race from thought to thought, worry to worry, reaction to reaction. They mistake this mental chaos for productivity, this constant internal chatter for thinking. They never experience the power of true stillness, the clarity of perfect quiet. Start with your morning stillness. Before the world begins its demands, before your mind begins its usual chaos, create a space of perfect quiet. This is not meditation. As most practice it, this is imperial stillness, the cultivation of absolute clarity and concentrated power. Your environment must support this practice. Create a space where stillness can flourish. Remove what disturbs, eliminate what distracts, arrange what calms. Your physical space either supports stillness or fights against it. There is no neutral ground. Movement can be a pathway to stillness. The repetitive motion of walking, the focused flow of martial arts, the measured pace of deliberate exercise, these can all lead to states of moving stillness, where body and mind align in perfect quiet focus. Remember, stillness is not the enemy of action. It is its foundation. Every great achievement, every powerful decision, every lasting insight emerges not from frantic activity, but from moments of perfect clarity found only in stillness. Your capacity for stillness becomes your capacity for power. The deeper your ability to remain still, the stronger your ability to act decisively. The quieter your mind becomes, the clearer your perception grows. The more you cultivate stillness, the more wisdom becomes available to you. Most will resist this teaching. They'll say, I don't have time for stillness, or I need to stay active, or I can't quiet my mind. Listen carefully. These are the voices of fear. Fear of what might emerge in quiet. Fear of what might be revealed in stillness. Fear of facing oneself without distraction. Think of stillness as the foundation of an empire. Before the walls rise, before the armies march, before the glory manifests, there must be solid, unshakable ground. Stillness is that ground. It is the bedrock upon which all lasting achievement is built. Start today. Find one moment, one single moment, where you can practice perfect stillness. Not relaxation, not rest, but conscious, aware, powerful stillness. Feel the strength that emerges not from doing, but from being. Experience the clarity that comes not from thinking, but from perceiving. Now tell me, where will you first cultivate your stillness? Chapter 14. Embrace voluntary discomfort. Leading Rome's legions, I discovered that soldiers who trained in comfort failed in battle, while those who embraced hardship in training emerged victorious. The same principle governs all achievement. Comfort is a poison that weakens, while voluntary discomfort is a medicine that strengthens. What you choose to endure shapes what you're able to achieve. Here's what most people don't understand about discomfort. They see it as something to be avoided, eliminated, minimized at all costs. But purposeful discomfort is not your enemy. It is your trainer, your strengthener, your pathway to power. The more you run from discomfort, the weaker you become. But let me ask you this. What discomfort are you deliberately choosing? What hardship are you voluntarily embracing? Or are you, like most, simply dealing with the discomforts life throws at you, rather than strategically selecting the challenges that will forge you into something stronger. The mastery of voluntary discomfort rests on 4 imperial principles. First, principle: chosen challenge. There is a vast difference between hardship that happens to you and hardship you choose. Voluntary discomfort carries within it the power of choice. You are not a victim of circumstance, but a strategist of your own strengthening. This simple shift in perspective transforms suffering into training. Second principle: progressive resistance. Like a muscle, your capacity for discomfort must be built gradually. Start with small challenges, cold showers, hard exercises, difficult tasks faced head-on. Each voluntary discomfort builds your resilience for the next. The key is not the size of the challenge, but the regularity of facing it. Third principle: recovery with purpose. Discomfort without recovery leads to breakdown. Recovery without discomfort leads to weakness. The art is in balancing these forces, choosing when to push and when to rest, but always with strategic intent. Even your rest should be chosen, not merely taken when you collapse. Fourth principle: mental transformation. Every voluntary discomfort you embrace reshapes your relationship with challenge itself. What once seemed impossible becomes manageable. What once triggered fear becomes familiar. Your mind expands to encompass greater challenges, larger possibilities, higher achievements. Here's what separates true voluntary discomfort from mere masochism. It's not about suffering for suffering's sake. It's about deliberately choosing challenges that serve your growth. Every discomfort should have a purpose, every hardship a strategic aim. Most people's relationship with discomfort is entirely reactive. They face only what they must, endure only what they cannot avoid, challenge themselves only when circumstances demand it. They never realize that this passive approach leaves them perpetually unprepared for life's greater challenges. Start with your morning routine. Choose one comfort to eliminate, one hardship to embrace. Perhaps it's waking earlier than necessary, exercising in the cold, or tackling your most difficult task first. The specific challenge matters less than the fact that you chose it deliberately. Your physical training must incorporate strategic discomfort. Don't just exercise, push your limits. Don't just move, challenge yourself. The body adapts not to what it can easily handle, but to what it must struggle to overcome. Comfort in training ensures mediocrity in performance. Your daily work offers countless opportunities for voluntary discomfort. Choose the harder conversation instead of the easy silence. Take on the challenging project instead of the comfortable assignment. Speak up when others stay quiet. Each chosen difficulty builds your capacity for greater challenges. Remember, comfort is not your friend. The more you organize your life around avoiding discomfort, the more life's inevitable challenges will devastate you. The more you embrace voluntary hardship, the more resilient you become to all hardship. Your chosen discomforts must become your allies, your teachers, your path to power. This doesn't mean living in constant strain. It means strategically selecting challenges that serve your growth. Like a sword being forged, you need both the hammer of discomfort and the cooling of recovery. Most will resist this teaching. They'll say, "Life is hard enough already," or "Why make things more difficult?" or "I deserve to be comfortable." Listen carefully. Life's greatest achievements have never emerged from comfort zones. Every meaningful accomplishment requires voluntary engagement with challenge. Think of each chosen discomfort as an investment in your future resilience. Every cold shower builds cold tolerance. Every difficult conversation builds social courage. Every challenging task builds mental strength. You're literally forging yourself through voluntary hardship. Start today. Choose one comfort to sacrifice, one difficulty to embrace, not because you must, but because you choose to. Feel the immediate shift in your relationship with challenge when you make discomfort your ally rather than your enemy. Let each chosen hardship remind you, this is how emperors are made. Now tell me, what discomfort will you choose first? Chapter 15. The discipline of solitude in the heights of Roman power, surrounded by constant counsel and company, I discovered an essential truth, the deepest wisdom, the clearest vision, the strongest resolve. These emerge not from endless consultation with others, but from purposeful solitude. Every great leader must learn to be alone with their thoughts, to find strength not in numbers, but in silence. Here's what most people don't understand about solitude. They see it as a form of deprivation, a punishment, an empty space to be filled. But true solitude is not an absence, it is a presence. Not a void to escape, but a source to drink from. Not time alone, but time with your deepest self. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you were truly alone? Not merely physically isolated, but mentally and emotionally sovereign, not escaping through devices or distractions, but facing yourself with full awareness and perfect clarity? The mastery of solitude rests on 4 imperial principles. First, principle, solitude as strategy. Your time alone is not a break from life. It is preparation for life. Like a general planning before battle, your solitude is where you gain perspective, forge resolve, and clarify purpose. Without this strategic isolation, you become merely reactive, shaped by others, rather than self-directed. Second principle, the power of self-communion. In solitude, you finally hear your own voice, not the echo of others' opinions, not the noise of social expectations, but your authentic wisdom. This is where you learn to counsel yourself, to trust your judgment, to strengthen your inner authority. Third, principle, creative incubation. The greatest ideas, the deepest insights, the most powerful solutions emerge not in constant collaboration, but in focused solitude. Your mind needs space to explore, to connect, to create. This space exists only in purposeful isolation. Fourth principle, emotional independence. The ability to be peacefully alone is the foundation of all other strengths. If you cannot bear your own company, you will always be at the mercy of others' presence. True power requires emotional self-sufficiency. Here's what separates true solitude from mere isolation. It's not about being alone. It's about being complete in yourself, not escaping from others, but returning to your center, not hiding from the world, but preparing yourself to engage with it more powerfully. Most people fear solitude because they fear themselves. They fill every moment with noise, every space with distraction, every silence with escape. They never develop the inner strength that comes only through purposeful time alone. They remain forever dependent on external stimulation, external validation, external direction. Start with morning solitude. Before the world's demands begin, before others' voices fill your mind, claim time alone. Not to do, but to be. Not to produce, but to ponder. Not to plan, but to perceive. This is not luxury. This is necessity. Your day must begin with self-communion. Your space must support this practice. Create a sanctuary for solitude, a place where you can reliably be alone with your thoughts. This might be a room, a corner, even a specific chair. The location matters less than its dedication to this purpose. Your environment should signal, this is time for depth. Digital solitude requires special discipline. Being physically alone means nothing if your mind remains connected to the digital crowd. True solitude in our age means freedom, not just from physical company, but from virtual company. Your devices must be silenced, your notifications stilled. Remember, solitude is not the enemy of connection, it is its foundation. The deeper your capacity for being alone, the more genuine your interactions with others become. The stronger your self-communion, the more valuable your contributions to any group. Your practice of solitude must become as regular as sunrise, as natural as breathing. This doesn't mean becoming a hermit. It means ensuring that time alone becomes non-negotiable, protected, sacred. Like a muscle, your capacity for meaningful solitude grows with consistent practice. Most will resist this teaching. They'll say, "But I need to stay connected," or "I get lonely easily," or "I think better with others." Listen carefully. These are the voices of dependency, of fear, of resistance to the deep work of self-knowledge. All great strength begins in solitude. Think of each period of solitude as a return to source, like a river returning to the mountain. Spring, you return to your center, your clarity, your power. Each time you choose solitude, you strengthen your ability to act from internal authority rather than external influence. Start today. Choose one period, even 15 minutes, for complete solitude. No phone, no book, no distractions, just you, your thoughts, and the vast potential of undistracted presence. Notice what arises when you stop fleeing from your own company. Let each moment of solitude remind you, this is where emperors find their strength. Now, tell me, when will you claim your solitude? Chapter 16. Make time serve you in. Commanding Rome's vast empire, I learned that while territory can be expanded and wealth can be multiplied, time remains stubbornly finite. Yet most live as if time were infinite, squandering it like a fool, with endless gold, never realizing that each wasted moment is lost forever. True power begins when you make time your servant, rather than being its slave. Here's what most people don't understand about time. They see it as something that happens to them, a force they must submit to, a river that carries them along. But time is not your master. It is a resource to be commanded, a force to be directed, a servant to be ordered with imperial authority. But let me ask you this. Do you truly command your time, or do you merely occupy it? Are you directing its flow with strategic purpose, or are you simply reacting to its passage? Are you making time serve your empire, or are you serving the empires of others with your time? The mastery of time rests on 4 imperial principles. First, principle, time sovereignty. You must first claim absolute ownership of your time. Not partial ownership, not negotiated ownership, but complete sovereignty. Every emperor knows what you cannot command, you do not truly own. Your time must become your domain, ruled with absolute authority. Second principle, strategic allocation. Time, like gold, must be invested where it yields the highest return. Every moment spent must serve your empire's growth. This doesn't mean constant work, it means purposeful use. Even rest, when strategic, is time well invested. Third principle, temporal territory. Your time, like physical territory, must be defended. Every invasion must be repelled, every theft prevented, every waste eliminated. Your boundaries around time must become as solid as Rome's walls, as clear as imperial borders. Fourth principle, rhythmic rule. The most powerful use of time follows natural rhythms, like the seasons that govern planting and harvest. Your time must flow in strategic cycles. Period of intense focus followed by strategic recovery. Times of expansion followed by times of consolidation. Here's what separates true time mastery from mere time management. It's not about squeezing more activities into each hour. It's about ensuring each hour serves your highest purpose. Goal is not to do more, but to ensure that what you do matters more. Most people's relationship with time is fundamentally passive. They speak of finding time, making time, running out of time, as if time were something beyond their control. They never realize that this mindset itself guarantees their time will never truly serve them. Start with your mornings. The first hours of your day must be claimed with absolute authority. These hours set the pattern for all that follows. An emperor who begins his day reactively will rule reactively. One who begins with command will rule with command. Your schedule must become your law, not a suggestion to be considered, but a command to be followed. This is not about rigidity, it's about intention. Every block of time must be allocated purposefully, whether for work, rest, training, or strategic idleness. Technology requires special temporal discipline. Each device, each app, each notification is a potential time thief. Guard against these invasions with imperial vigilance. Technology must serve your time sovereignty, not undermine it. Remember, time does not equal productivity. Many appear busy while accomplishing nothing of value. Your goal is not to fill time, but to direct it toward what truly matters. Better 1 hour of focused power than 8 hours of scattered effort. Your command of time must extend beyond work. How you rest, how you recover, how you rejuvenate. These are not breaks from time mastery, but essential parts of it. Strategic rest multiplies the power of focused work. Recovery is not time wasted, but power restored. Most will resist this teaching. They'll say, "But I have obligations," or "My time isn't my own," or "I have to answer to others." Listen carefully. While circumstances may constrain you, how you use each moment remains your sovereign choice. No one can command your focus without your consent. Think of each day as a fresh empire to be conquered. Each morning presents 24 new territories, 24 hours to be claimed, commanded, and directed toward your highest purpose. How you rule these territories determines everything else. Start today, choose 1 hour, just one, and claim absolute sovereignty over it. Guard it, direct it, command it with complete authority. Feel what it means to truly own your time rather than simply occupy it. Let this become the model for expanding your temporal empire. Now tell me, which hour will you first claim as your absolute domain? Chapter 17. Live like you're being watched by the gods in ruling Rome. I discovered that true power flows not from the eyes of others upon you, but from the standards you hold within. While others performed for the crowd, change their conduct. When watched and relaxed their disciplines when alone, I learned to live as if the gods themselves witnessed every action, every decision, every moment of choice. Here's what most people don't understand about integrity. They see it as a public performance, a set of rules to follow when others are watching. But true integrity is not about reputation. It is about reality, not about seeming, but about being, not about others' judgment, but about divine standard. But let me ask you this. If the gods themselves were watching your every moment, not to judge, but to witness, would your actions change? Would your private moments match your public persona? Would your unseen choices reflect the principles you claim to honor? The mastery of divine-level integrity rests on 4 imperial principles. First principle, divine witness. Imagine not a punishing God, but an all-seeing presence that witnesses your every action with perfect clarity. This is not about fear of judgment. It is about the courage to be truly seen. Every action, every thought, every choice made as if it will echo in eternity. Second principle, internal alignment. Your private actions must match your public principles. Your solitary moments must reflect your stated values. Your unseen choices must align with your visible commitments. This alignment is not for others. It is for the divine witness within you. Third principle, eternal record. Consider every action as if it were being recorded in an immortal ledger, every choice as if it were being carved in eternal stone, not for fame, not for reputation, but for the absolute truth of who you are and what you stand for. Fourth principle, divine standard. Set your standards not by what others expect, not by what society demands, but by what the highest version of yourself would require. The gods don't grade on a curve, neither should you. Excellence is not measured against others, but against the absolute. Here's what separates true divine-level integrity from mere moral behavior. It's not about following rules, it's about embodying excellence. Not about avoiding wrong, but about pursuing the highest right. Not about fear of consequence, but about love of nobility. Most people live divided lives, one version for the public, another for private. They maintain their disciplines when watched, relax them when alone. They speak truth when accountable, allow lies when hidden. They never realize that this division itself is the source of their weakness. Start with your private moments. When no one is watching, when no one would know, when you could take the easier path without consequence. These are your moments of truth. These private choices build your true character, your real power, your actual worth. Your thoughts require the same divine-level integrity. The gods witness not just actions, but intentions, not just behaviors, but motivations. Every thought is a seed of future action. Every internal dialogue shapes your character. Guard your mind as if the divine could read every thought. Your promises to yourself and others must become sacred contracts, not because others hold you accountable, but because the gods witness your word. A promise broken in private damages your soul as much as one broken in public. Your word must become your bond, whether whispered alone or proclaimed to crowds. Remember, reputation is what others believe about you, but character is what the gods know about you. Focus not on managing perceptions, but on building genuine worth. Not on seeming honorable, but on being honorable. Not on appearing powerful, but on becoming powerful. Your disciplines must be maintained not for external reward, but for internal excellence. The gods don't care about your circumstances, your excuses, your reasons for compromise. They witness only what is, not what might have been. Excellence brooks no excuses. Most will resist this teaching. They'll say, but no one would know, or it doesn't really matter, or everyone else does it. Listen carefully. These are the whispers of mediocrity, the seductive voices that urge compromise with excellence. The gods hear these whispers too. Think of your life as a temple. Every action either honors or dishonors its sanctity. Every choice either elevates or diminishes its nobility. Every moment either serves your highest purpose or betrays it. There are no neutral actions, no meaningless choices, no unseen moments. Start today. Choose one action, one small private moment, and perform it with divine-level integrity. Not for reward, not for recognition, but for the simple truth that excellence demands nothing less. Feel what it means to live as if the gods themselves bore witness to your choice. Now tell me, what action will you first perform under divine witness? Chapter 18, Leave Nothing Undisciplined. As I conclude these teachings, understand this final truth. Partial discipline is no discipline at all. As Rome could not be partially governed, your life cannot be partially mastered. Every domain left unconquered becomes a weakness that threatens the whole. Every aspect left undisciplined becomes a gap through which chaos enters. Here's what most people don't understand about complete discipline. They see it as restrictive, as a cage that limits their freedom. But the true discipline is not a prison. It is the key to ultimate liberation. Not a constraint on life, but the foundation that makes all else possible. The more complete your discipline, the more complete your freedom becomes. But let me ask you this. What areas of your life still operate on autopilot? What domains remain unexamined, unmastered, ruled by habit rather than choice? Where does your empire still harbor pockets of chaos, zones of weakness, territories of compromise? The mastery of complete discipline rests on 4 imperial principles. First principle, total sovereignty. Every aspect of your life must come under conscious command. Your thoughts, your emotions, your words, your actions, your habits, your relationships, your environment, all must be ruled with imperial authority. Nothing can be left to chance or habit. Second principle, systematic integration. Each discipline must support every other. Your physical discipline must strengthen your mental discipline. Your emotional discipline must reinforce your social discipline. Your temporal discipline must enhance your spiritual discipline. All must work in harmony toward your highest purpose. Third principle, constant vigilance. The price of sovereignty is eternal watchfulness. Every domain you've mastered must be maintained. Every discipline you've established must be guarded. Every standard you've set must be upheld. Perfection is not a destination, but a constant practice. Fourth principle, strategic evolution. As your power grows, your disciplines must evolve. What served you at one level becomes insufficient at the next. The disciplines that built your empire must grow with your empire. Stagnant discipline becomes weak discipline. Here's what separates true, complete discipline from mere rigid control. It's not about maintaining perfect order, it's about maintaining perfect command. Not about eliminating all chaos, but about choosing when to allow it and when to contain it. Not about perfect performance, but about perfect awareness and intention. Most people practice discipline selectively. They are disciplined at work, but chaotic at home. Disciplined with tasks, but undisciplined with emotions. Disciplined with others, but undisciplined with themselves. They never realize that discipline is like a chain. It is only as strong as its weakest link. Start with an audit of your empire. Examine every domain of your life with imperial scrutiny. Where do you maintain high standards? Where do you allow compromise? Where are you in command? Where are you merely coping? This inventory becomes your battle map for complete mastery. Your physical realm must come under complete command. Not just exercise, but movement, posture, breathing, eating, sleeping, all must be ruled with conscious intention. Your body is not separate from your empire. It is the territory from which all else extends. Your mental realm demands equal sovereignty. Your thoughts, your focus, your internal dialogue, your information consumption, all must be governed with imperial authority. A disciplined mind becomes a source of power. An undisciplined mind becomes a source of weakness. Remember, everything you do either strengthens or weakens your discipline. Every choice either reinforces or erodes your command. There are no neutral actions, no meaningless decisions. Everything counts, everything matters, everything either serves your empire or undermines it. Your relationships must come under the same imperial command. Who you spend time with, how you communicate, what you tolerate, what you encourage, all must align with your highest standards. Undisciplined relationships drain power from even the most disciplined individual. Most will resist this teaching. They'll say, life needs spontaneity, or you can't control everything, or this is too extreme. Listen carefully. Complete discipline doesn't eliminate joy. It creates the foundation for true joy. Not the shallow pleasure of impulse, but the deep satisfaction of mastery. Think of your life as an empire where every province must be governed, every border secured, every resource directed. One ungoverned province can threaten the whole. One unsecured border can allow invasion. One misdirected resource can weaken the entire structure. Start today. Choose the weakest domain in your empire, the area where discipline is most lacking, and bring it under command. Not through force, but through strategic intention, not through rigid control, but through conscious choice. Let this become your first step toward complete sovereignty. As we conclude these teachings, remember, the path of discipline is not a journey to a destination. It is a way of being. Each day presents new territories to conquer, new challenges to master, new opportunities to strengthen your command. The empire of your life is either expanding through discipline or contracting through its absence. You have now received the principles that governed Rome itself, the same principles that can govern your life, if you have the courage to apply them completely. The choice, as always, remains yours. Will you leave parts of your life to chance and habit, or will you rise to the challenge of complete sovereignty? Now tell me, what part of your empire will you bring under command first?